Hi everybody, hope you're doing well. My name is Dan Segarra. I'm an instructor at Animation Mentor, and I wanted to go over some of the animBot tools that I use on a daily basis in order to get my animated shot finished. These tools I use pretty regularly. I use them on a daily basis. I would say these three tools are the more important or the more significant tools that I prioritize in my workflow because they're such a huge part of helping me get my animation finished. So let's go over them. A little bit about myself before I get into it. I am a senior animator at Skydance Animation. I've worked on the films Luck, Spellbound, and Puku. I've also been at Blue Sky for about 10 years, working on films like the Ice Age, a couple of the Ice Age movies, Rio 2, Spies in Disguise, the Peanuts movie, Ferdinand, and a couple other movies there. And I've also worked at Sony Imageworks on a couple films there as well. So at these studios, I definitely use animBot quite a bit. At Skydance and at Blue Sky, it was part of our tool set. And at Sony, they had a previous version of animBot called A-Tools, which they have a lot of the similar tools there. So I would use it all the time. Let me go over something the tools that I use. Motion Trail, I use that all the time from the point that I start adding my breakdowns in my blocking pass. I will start using the Motion Trail tool. So let's go over this tool so you have an idea of how I use it in a practical way. If you select the head, Maya does have an option. If you wanted to track your arcs, you're able to go under the animation menu and then go under visualize. And then here it has the option to create an editable motion trail. And once you select that, you can see that a motion trail is created from that. And that is a strong, great tool to use. So if you do not have animBot, this is a great way to track your arcs. Another way to track your arcs if you don't have animBot is a simple dry erase marker. It's something that I use still even with animBot, because sometimes some controls you can't get to, like the corners of your mouth, and sometimes you want them to move in an arc as well. So I will just track the corner of the mouth or any area that has a little bit more detail that I like to track. Sometimes I'll track it with a marker and then just erase it on my monitor. And it gives me great results. So those are two ways that you can track without animBot. But if you have the ability to use animBot, animBot is such a powerful tool, and it does more than track arcs, which is the reason why I use it. If I select the head here and select the motion trail tool in animBot, which is, I have it on my menu here, my menu shelf of animBot. If you click on this, it will create, very similar to Maya, a motion trail. Except you can immediately see there's one big difference, is the color. And this is a huge difference because this color represents my spacing. The cooler colors represent slower spacing, and the warmer colors represent faster spacing. And in one view, I am able to tell if my spacing is working, if my action is snappy through the middle part of the action, and if I'm easing out of my movement or easing into a movement. At a glance, I can see that my spacing is working or not working. So that is super powerful. If you right click and you go under style, this is what I use all the time, the spacing temperature. You can change it to other styles such as dashed, dots, thickness. You could change the thickness. You could change from the previous version of animBot, which I mentioned, the A-Tools version. But spacing temperature, there's also other different temperatures that I don't use very often, but I use the spacing temperature because it's super powerful to use. And spacing is such an important principle in animation that to be able to see your spacing is such a strong, powerful thing. Another thing is the offset. I use the offset quite a bit, especially because like the information that the head is giving me, the path of the head, isn't quite as important. It is important, but isn't quite as important as the nose, tracking the nose. And in this rig, unfortunately, I don't have a control near the nose. So there's nothing that I can track in that area unless I created a locator, parented it to the head and positioned it to the nose, in the position of the nose. And then I would be able to track that locator. But what animBot allows you to do is I can select the head directly, right click, offset, and now I have access to move this pivot point of the arc of the motion trail. And if I wanted to put it near the nose, which is a more important area to track because people look at, this is where people look. You know, what the audience is looking at the eyes. And if your path of your nose is traveling in arcs, that's what's more important than the pivot point of the head, because the pivot point of the head isn't really a position that people are looking at, you know. So, powerful tool. Using the offset, using the style are the biggest parts that I use for this. I also sometimes use the frames before and after. If I wanted to see more frames before and after, like let's say 24, it will just expand the range that my the arc tracker is showing. And I usually do something between 12 and 20, around 12 or 24. I'll go back and forth depending on how much before and after I want to see. You can show the entire range. You can show 48 frames, 3 frames, you know, but I think 12 or 24 is a pretty good setting to keep it at. Some of the things as well that I use, you can use the orientation options. I don't use this very much, but if your character is rotating, you're able to track things rotating around the control you have selected. Sometimes it can get a little difficult to see what exactly is happening, so I don't use it very often. Another thing that I use is the set range. If I only want the trail for a specific section, I will highlight that section and then set the range for that section, just so it doesn't continue being created outside of that frame range. So it'll only show it for that section and that section only. Okay. So those are the biggest parts of the motion trail that I am using on a daily basis when I'm animating shots at work and my personal stuff. Okay, so now let's go over the tweener and the scale to neighboring keys. Both of these are powerful tools. There are different versions of the tweener that you could find online. But this is just a great tool. It's a powerful tool. It's a quick tool. It's very interactive. Let's take a quick look. And both actually, the tweener and the scale to neighboring keys are very similar in what they do. So I'm going to combine both of them together in terms of explaining them. Okay, so these green tools, these green sliders, they are the scale to neighboring keys. This is scale to neighboring left key. This is scale to neighboring right key. And this scales to ease out of the neighboring left position or the neighboring right position, the right key or the left key. So now I opened up my file as in blocking paths, so you can see this isn't this is something that I use. These tools are something that I use when I'm blocking out my shot. I also use them in the spline pass and sometimes in polish, but they're a little bit more, I use them a little more precisely instead of broadly. But in terms of, like, if I want to create a key from here to here, you can see that the head is moving to the left, rotate Y and left, and it's continuing to rotate. So like if I wanted this motion to, let's say, just immediately look at the direction that I want it to go to. So I'll select a couple of these keys, and I can use this ease slider that allows me to take the keys that I have selected and ease them into the key that they are going to. So I can do something like this where it'll ease it into that pose, and then it'll cause it to ease that blocking pass more to favoring that key. If I wanted it further, I can do this and ease it even more. So that will ease my keys, my breakdowns into the key pose, if I wanted that to happen. So the other powerful thing about these slider tools is that whatever you have selected, you don't even have to be on that frame. You can just select any key and you can ease it in and out. You can scale. What the scale to neighboring key does, it will scale it from the left key. So you can go past the position of this left key, or you can move it away from the position of the left key. And it's solely based on the position of the neighboring left key. And if I wanted to favor either away or toward the neighboring right key, I would use this scale to neighboring right key. So again, you don't have to be on that frame. You could just be you could just select the key that you want or the breakdown that you want, and it will affect that breakdown. And the great thing is it is only affecting the channel that you have selected. So if I have, let's say, 3 channels selected, and I want all 3 of these to affect to be affected by the neighboring right key or left key, I will do that, and it will scale all of them based on the key that is directly to the right of the ones that I have selected. Let me see if I could find a better control that shows this example a little stronger. Maybe I can use the hand control because it's moving up and down. Well, this is just a breakdown. I guess let's try for the neck or the head. I think is a good control to use. Maybe rotate Z here. Okay, let's use this section. So this is my key, and here's my ease out, ease in, and then it's here's my other key. If I wanted to, let's say, ease into this a little bit stronger, I can select these keys and ease in. That's an option for me to do. I could do it that way. I could also show the buffer curve, snapshot buffer curve, so I could see what my previous position was. So if I'm straying away from it, I could at least kind of base it where I'm going. So now I can see this is where it was. I want it just a little bit less, so it just like eases into it a little slower. I can do that. I can even do this just to make it ease in a little bit stronger. If I want, sometimes I do this where I'll ease just stronger like that. So something like this, so it eases in even more so. And this, if I wanted to ease, it's only 1 key, so for this one I could tween it if I want, or ease if I want. But the great thing about the ease is that you could select multiple keys and have it ease in and out how you want. If I want to take multiple channels, like I was saying, and I want this section to be scaled from neighboring left, I could do that, and it will scale all of these keys based on the neighboring left key. which is so powerful because in order to scale in Maya, uh, based on where it's coming from or where it's going to, you would have to do each one individually and put your mouse cursor. Like if I wanted to scale this, I would have to put my mouse cursor, make sure I'm using the scale function, shift middle mouse click and scale from this position, you know, and then it will scale from wherever you have your mouse cursor. And then I would have to do it again for this control. I'd have to scale this, and then I would have to do it for that channel as well. So I would have to do individual channels and put the mouse cursor where I want for each individual channel. The power that lies in the scale to neighboring left and scale to neighboring right is that you don't have to, that you can do multiple channels at once. You don't have to do each channel individually. So that is powerful to scale if you need to scale multiple channels, multiple curves. You could even do it multiple controls if you wanted to. So ease, scale to neighboring left, scale to neighboring right. There are more options that you may like to use as well, but those are the three that I mainly use on a daily basis, are the scale to neighboring left, scale to neighboring right, and the ease controls. Like for example, this is a time offset stagger. I've used this once or twice without the results that I was looking for. I've also used the this time offsetter without the results that I was looking for. I think these are for very specific scenarios that I just didn't run into a scenario where it was useful for me. So you can smooth out some curves. So maybe you would like to use this one instead of the ease. Let's say I have, again, this control that I want to ease in. Maybe the smooth control will be what you're looking for instead. Maybe I want to smooth this into the control, but it looks like it goes a little past. So if you wanted to go overshoot, maybe that's something you're looking for. I would recommend going into the other controls that animBot has and seeing if you do like what they allow you to do. But my personal favorites are the ones that I had showed you, these three. And then in terms of the Tween machine, the Tween machine is a very powerful tool because it can, it does allow you to favor the next pose. So like if I wanted this control to favor, to get close to the next control or close to the previous control, it allows me to do that. And I can also not, if I don't have anything selected, it will move the, you can see the head, how it's being affected, where it's being favored from, this is the previous pose, this is the pose that it's going into, and I can find the in-between, either favoring the pose that I'm going into or favoring the previous pose that I'm coming from. And then from there, I can use the Tween machine, as I mentioned earlier, and offset this on the nose. Move, whoops. Take the offset, select it, move it to the nose. Looks like it's already pretty much there. And now I can look at the favoring of my Tween machine in this position and favor, just make sure it is traveling on an arc. And the combination of those tools is very powerful. It's just like helps with making sure that your animation is as strong as it can be from your blocking pass. Cool. So that's pretty much it. Using the tweener, scale to neighboring right, scale to neighboring left, the ease control, also the motion trail tool. All those tools are I prioritize in my workflow on a daily basis, and hopefully they help you. Okay, thanks a lot and happy animating. Bye.